Hello beautiful soul, and welcome to Manifest with me, Rebecca G. I'm your manifestation, meditation and mindset coach who blends equal measures of soul, strategy and a little sprinkle of science on the side. Consider me your modern day pink witch with my spiritual toolbox packed full of ideas to energize and inspire you and to put the action into the law of attraction. Let this podcast be your weekly fix because, my beautiful soul, it is time to turn your vision board into a reality. All right, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Good welcome, everybody. I've got an amazing guest on the podcast, Manifest with me today, and I've been following this lady, a little bit of a stalker, on her social media, and we got messaging, didn't we? Probably, is it a couple of months ago now? And I was like, yes, we need to just sort this out. I think it was like a post I posted and you commented, or I commented on yours, and it was like one of those moments where you're just like, I love this lady already. This is so good. And then we just arranged to meet. Last time it didn't happen because my internet was like kaput when we had that crazy storm in the UK a few weeks ago. But now I've got the fabulous Jenn Greiner on here, who's a divine vitality coach. She's got a whole plethora of things I want to talk about. She's a licensed counselor, an art therapist of 10 years in mental health, which is incredible. And she utilizes her human design skills and her coaching ability to lead individuals to navigate their energy, break patterns, decondition, and stand in their power for improved boundaries and relationships. And I love this about you. I love, what a bio. So she's also into hiking, camping, exploring, an outdoor girl like myself. I love it in nature. And she spends her free time with her dog and her rabbit. I obviously hadn't read that bit of your bio, that's why I'm laughing. And her abundant houseplants, meditating and enjoying the things like, I wasn't laughing at you because I used to have a little house rabbit. Is she indoors or he indoors?
Yeah, he gets to run the house. I joke that he's in charge. He's 2 pounds, this teeny little thing. He runs the show.
So Jenn, tell us all about you. I'm going to shut up. What an incredible bio, though. I love that.
Thank you.
Tell us all
Yes.
about your like birth to now. What's brought you
Okay.
here to human design? How did you get here?
Birth to now. So I am in the US. I was born in Florida, down in the South, where it's nice and warm and abundant sunshine. And I was there for the first 4 years of my life. And then when my parents split, my mom took me up to New York to be with her family. And if you're familiar with New York, not in the city, but about an hour and a half east out on Long Island, where it's just so beautiful and sand beaches and ocean. So I still got to continue that life living in the sunshine on the beach. And just had a really wonderful childhood. And when it came time to, graduate high school and decide what to do with your life, these really big choices, I was really stuck because I really loved the more like logical. I was really into math. I took years of calculus. Like my parents are engineers and pilots and, that type of thing. And I was like, okay, I can study math and do all these, techie things. But then I was like, I've always been so intrigued with how people's minds work. It's just like, why did you make that decision? What are you thinking? What caused you to act that way? So I chose psychology and did my undergrad in psych and learned so much and gained so much experience. I studied abroad. I went to South Africa. It was the time of my life. Talk about sunshine and ocean. And then at the end of college, I got into counseling courses. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I really saw my ability. Now it all makes sense. I know we'll get into human design, but it all makes sense of why I was kind of led and seeing how I really followed my intuition, followed my design and that energetic pull. I started the goal of building a private practice. I wanted to work one-on-one with individuals, help them through their mental challenges to gain mental clarity. And I saw that mental health was that avenue to pursue therapy. So I took time off. I moved out to California. Again, we're seeing a theme of sunshine and shores, which is my human design environment. So it's, not surprising that I really didn't leave the ocean, really ever. I've always been nearby. So yeah, took time in California, looked, moved a couple of different places, looked into what I might want to do. I worked at a summer camp as an arts and crafts counselor. So it was really fun to see that this creative artistic side that I've
Yeah.
always had as a only child. I had to learn how to play with myself. I got creative and, had to do things that I liked. So it was really cool. I started researching, like, well, what can I do with art and psychology? And art therapy kept popping up. And I was nearby a university in Boston, Cambridge. I went to Lesley University and pursued my graduate degree. And it was wonderful. It was 2 years, and it was really cool to see. Again, it was the bridging of the creativity, that feminine, but also more of the science and the masculine of here's evidence-based, and this is how we put it together. And I really think through those times, that was the start of my introduction to woo-woo. I was like, these art therapists, they're a little kooky. We didn't even want to take some of the classes with the drama therapists because they were even more out there. And that was, too new age for me. So yeah, pursued my degree, got licensed, was living in Boston, moved up to Maine. I've been here for 7 years. I've had a private practice for over 5. And over 3.5 years ago, human design kept being popped into my sphere. And finally I was like, all right, what is this thing? Let me look into it. And I have self-studied for 3.5 years. I have learned, and continue to learn all that I can about human design, apply it to myself. I applied it to my private practice, saw how it allowed my clients to reach their treatment goals in no time. And around then I was like, mental health is a little too limiting for me. I can't help the people that I want to help. It restricts me to who I can help and how I can help them. So I was like, I want to do coaching. I have everything I need to be a coach. Now I have human design, and it just gives me a blueprint on how to help someone. So why wouldn't I just? It seems really easy. And my why is really helping individuals to ultimately help the collective. So I just love where I'm at. And I think that's my whole life story.
Love it. I love how much you've studied and how much you've done. And actually, it's funny, isn't it, when you look back on your life and you think all these courses that you were doing, you were clearly following your intuition. And it's just like it's umbrellaed everything. And oh, okay, that's why I had to go and do all those courses, because it's helping me do all of this now in your coaching. But just want to ask you one thing, because I don't know much about this, and I'm sure people with kids and things will be listening to this, because I have a lot of mums that listen. The art therapy, how does that work? What did you do? Because when I think of art, I'm so like naive to this. I'm probably just thinking like painting and things, but there's obviously way more than that you did. What did you do with the art stuff? That's so fascinating.
Yeah. And that's why it's so fun, because there's so much that you can do with it. Like, sky is the limit. And sometimes it is painting, sometimes it's creating, but it's really kind of a study of art materials and how you can assess people's developmental place on what they're needing, either, developmentally or cognitively, where they're currently at. Because, I could be a world class painter, but I'm in a regressive stage due to some trauma, and I can't paint because I'm just going to be flooded with emotions, and, I won't be able to like leave the office. So it's really knowing about what materials to use when and how to use them safely for the client, because we are kind of under the ethical belief of do no harm to our clients. So yeah, there's a lot behind it, but it's so fun to have clients come in and be like, well, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to paint? Oh, you want to draw? Okay, you're not into any of this. I have some mandalas. Do you want to just grab a colored pencil and color as we chat?
I'd be
so
in my
it's
element.
Yeah, it can be.
Like, can I do all of? I'm a manifesting generator. I'm like, can I just do all of that and add some sparkles on there and glitter?
Exactly. Although you'll never find glitter in my office because I'm a little too OCD. So I
won't in my house either with my son. I'm like, you can have that at nursery, but not at home. I'm exactly the same. So tell us about what's your, because our listeners do know a little bit about human design, and we're going to cover that, but what's your what do you call it? What your design, I guess, is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah. So my design, I am a 3-5 emotional projector.
You're a projector, same as my husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being a
And do you
projector.
find, since you learned about yours, do you find out about your friends? And I don't know if you're married. I haven't even asked you that, actually. Are you with someone?
I am not. I am living the single solo, I like to also say I'm in a committed relationship with myself.
Yes. Isn't that the best? Like those years of being single, I had so much fun. Like, not like that. Like, people think when you say you had fun, I was like, no, I had so much fun alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I go camping, hiking. I do whatever I want.
oh, but then you'll meet someone that you can still do that with, by the way. So when you meet
Yeah.
your life partner, it's so nice that I'm with Kevin. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm, do you know what I mean? I feel the same person as I was when I was single. Obviously, it's slightly different. You have to, there's different things you do when you're not single. But I generally, yeah. And I feel like, because he works away a lot, and people always say to me, do you hate it when he goes away? And I'm like, no, I love my time on my own. And I think it's because when I was single for so long, I started to enjoy that time on my own and did so much healing and treasured those moments on my own. So I kind of feel like that when he goes away now. It's just nice.
Yeah. And that's great for him too. Just as projectors, we kind of need our space and all
Yeah.
that energy that you possess.
Yeah.
A little break for him to be able to come back into his
Oh,
own.
for sure. He calls me the bumblebee because he's just like, you're like buzzing around me all the time. Like, yeah, he's too much
Yeah.
sometimes. He likes going away, having his hotel for 3 days, and he comes home, bless him. But tell us about, so you're obviously into manifesting as much as me. You called, and I love it when people go, oh, when I first started learning about all this stuff, it was all woo woo. When did you kind of move into that world of like learning about manifesting, or has it always been around you? I don't know.
It's always been kind of like, I'll say low vibe all around me. My mom was much more into natural things. I wouldn't say she was woo woo,
Yeah.
but she was definitely into alternative type things. So it was always kind of like a possibility, an option, but it was never really there. And I never really, with society, I really never allowed myself to let it in as much as I did until I moved up here to Maine. So 7 years ago, I always say that I never have felt like I've been around so many like-minded people. There
Oh,
are so many spiritual female business owners that I know in this space. And I mean, Maine is huge, but there aren't a lot of people here. So it's really cool to find all these people who are into the same stuff. Like we all speak this language of manifestation, of energy, of, utilizing it to benefit our lives in all the ways.
yeah, for sure. And have you found it's helped your business now since using human design and using manifesting, I guess, too? And learning how to manifest properly, I guess, because like you say, it's learning your design because it's so different for everybody.
Yeah. So where I was before I found human design was in a life of burnout. I was trying to keep up with society, which is still a generator society and all the manifesting generators. And, falling into that comparison trap of I don't have a successful business unless I'm acting like a manifesting generator and, I'm doing all the things and putting it out there and finding success, which never led to success for me. It was just burnout and I could barely get through days, let alone weeks. So finding human design and understanding what it means to be a projector, that I do not have that energy, that I'm destined for success, just in following my own design, that being my signature theme, really helped me step back, honor my own energy, my needs, who I am, so that I'm no longer functioning like a generator, but I'm functioning like a projector and allowing myself to do that, giving myself permission to rest throughout the day, to only work in 20-hour weeks, to really value what's important to me, it has absolutely changed my life.
And I can so connect with that, but in a different way, because I was always thinking, I'm always doing new stuff. I'm always creating new things. And I was always feeling a bit of guilt about it and a bit like people are going to just think I'm always creating new stuff. Like I'm the jack of all trades. We have a saying here in the UK, like you're doing like so many things that nobody knows what you're doing. And it was someone, I think on a podcast that I heard that said about manifesting generation, you're meant to just keep generating new stuff. And she said you're meant to also work and work and work till like crazy hours of the night because you've got so much energy, and then
have some rest time. And I call it like my hibernation, like be a little hedgehog for a little bit, and then I'm like, my group know this, I'm like online everywhere, and then I'm nowhere for like a week. And I used to feel really bad about it, and I was like, I feel really awful, like I'm giving them all these Facebook lives, and I'm doing all this content, and then I'm like nowhere to be seen. And actually hearing about my design, I was like, oh, that's what I'm meant to do. That's like how I fill my cup back up to then go again and like give out. So it changed my life as well, because I was like, I stopped feeling guilty. And I started to lean into, well, if I've got that idea, it's for a reason. And then I would run with it, and then the course would be successful. And it's a real game changer when you actually learn about, I don't know much about it, but I know stuff like that was really, really a big game changer.
It gives you permission to be you, which takes away that guilt and shame and, those really heavy emotions that weigh us down and, kind of keep us in a lower vibration. So then when we, have access to ourselves and we really step into our own vibration and frequency, then we get to actually embody and live out our design, and just the magic keeps coming. And I mean, to come back to manifestation, that's where we can just manifest, whatever we want. We all manifest in different ways, but I truly believe we all have the same ability to manifest
100%.
everything we want.
I totally agree with you. I think we're all born with that incredible power. So what I'm researching quite a lot with the witchy stuff at the moment, about the kind of women were born actually very intuitive and very spiritual beings, and that was kind of taken away from us and stripped away from us for many, I think. And now speaking to women like yourself, and so many, like you said, there's a huge following of spiritual women where you live. It's becoming more like we're waking up a little bit to this side of ourselves and realizing how powerful we are. You find that?
Absolutely. And it's so funny, when I watch TV shows that take place, in older times, whether it be, way back like Renaissance times or even just some decades ago, it's like, man, look at that oppression, like really dulling down women and their power. So now to see so many women really stepping into their own individual power, but also being able to radiate and share their power with the world, is what we need, because we are all so powerful and possess so many gifts. We all have a different purpose here to live out. And I just love how human design shows us that and guides us to that. So it's so cool when I look at, all these different charts that I've looked at over the years. Every time I look at a chart, I'm just like, whoa, like you are amazing. You are so unique. I've seen, a million generators, but like you are so special in this design, and look at all this power and gifts that you have. Like, oh.
And isn't that beautiful that every single chart that you will look at is probably, there's never going to be one that's exactly the same, I wouldn't imagine. Is there? Have I got that right? Like there's going to be elements the same, but like...
Right. No.
Is there ever a chart that's exactly the same as someone else's? Like, I guess a twin would it? Because they're born at the same time.
Yeah, twins, but then, you get into the nature versus nurture too. They still are different people. They've had different experiences processed in their own unique ways. So that's why twin studies are so cool, because yes, they do have the same design. My mom's actually a twin, but so different, like complete opposites still.
Oh, so that means if you decide to have children, will it be your kids that will have twins? Is that how it works for twins? It skip a generation. Oh, no. Is it you? Yeah, your mom's a twin. Is that right?
Yeah, so I would likely have twins, and that's been a big reason why I've decided that I do not choose to have children. Yep, I'm just fine with myself right now.
Twins, that is, one of my best mates had twins at similar times I had my little boy, and he was tough work. I don't know how she did it. I think women are incredible beings. They just get on with things, don't they? Anyway, we're digressing and talking about twins here. I'm going to manifest you a pregnancy with twins before we know it. But
no, thank you.
No, I always get a sense about people when they're going to have a baby. I didn't get that. That's why I asked if you were thinking of having any. The question I was going to ask you though is, can you give us a little overview of the designs? So some of our listeners will be like, what are they talking about? This projector and manifesting generators. Can you give us a little overview? Is it easy to do that with the
Yes, so easy. So I like to start with, just in case any listeners don't know what human design is, I think of it as energy mechanics. It's how the energy moves through your body, and it's a blueprint that we get to see that combines ancient and modern philosophies that really like puts all the pieces together. Astrology, chakras, Kabbalah tree of life, the I Ching, quantum physics. Like there's so much science in this, and that's what wrote me in. And then to see, the evidence-based efficacy that human design holds is so cool. So there are 5 energy types. All of us fit under one of the umbrellas of the 5 energy types. We lump, and some will tell you that they're the same, but I think when you get into human design, you see that they are different, but we put generators and manifesting generators in a same group because they still have that generator quality. They have that defined sacral, and their strategy, they're here to respond. They have life force energy. They are always pulling energy towards them. When you go out, I imagine people just kind of come to you for your beauty, but also just that
everywhere. Like even in the supermarket, Kevin's like, you always attract the most random people that start talking to you. I'm like,
yes,
everywhere.
Yes.
Why? Oh, that's so funny.
And that's just your energy, what's going on underneath that they just come to you. So it's so important to respond to them, to respond to any energy that comes into your aura, into your space. And then we also talk about self-theme and not self-theme. So the self-theme is like the light, the positive energy, where you get to live your life. And for generators and manifesting generators, that's satisfaction. So really looking at what that feeling is like for you, because you get to live a life filled with satisfaction, being satisfied. And then the lower vibration, which is, I think more of like the red flag of there's another way to do this. Are you following your strategy, your authority? And for generators and manifesting generators, that's frustration. So when you feel frustrated, really check in and say, am I responding? Am I listening to my authority, which for you is your sacral, that gut, yes or no? And how can I feel satisfied?
Yeah, that's so true. So today I was doing some of my accounts. I hate doing accounts, right? You must love it being a maths girl.
I do.
Oh, this is so annoying. The system can't. And I was like, I don't even want to be doing this. I'm just going to give it all to my accountant to do. And I just messaged him and I was like, can you just add this to like, he's like, I send it all over. And I'm like, I'm just getting so frustrated. And that is the word, frustrated. I was just like, I hate maths. I hate accounts. Send it over to him to do. And then I can crack on and write on my podcast for today. And I was like, I'm doing all my fun stuff. And I was like, now I'm lit. I'm good. I'm in a happy mood. That is so interesting. That frustration is the one for me. That's how I know I'm not in a like alignment.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because with all the generators that I work with, they're not really sure what satisfaction actually is. Like when I ask them what makes you feel satisfied, they're like, I don't know, like what is that emotion? And we actually have to explore like, when have you felt satisfied in your life and really pick it apart. So it's challenging, but the more that you know what it feels like, and for you with that example, knowing that it really is the opposite of frustration.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So then we can talk about, well, let me first say that generators and manifesting generators still are making up 70% of the world. Like
that's a lot, isn't it?
People. Yeah. And you guys are the doers. Society needs generators because you have that energy to see everything through. So next, let's talk about manifestors. It's, you being a manifesting generator, you have the generator quality, but you also have a little bit of this manifester quality. And manifestors are only about 8 to 10% of the world. They're pretty rare, which I just met with a manifestor yesterday. And I was like, I'm kind of filling up like half of the people that I surround myself right now are manifestors. So it's really interesting when you look at the statistics of it all. But manifestors are the sharers. They're the initiators. Their strategy is to initiate. Well, I take that back. They're here to initiate, to start new things. Their strategy is to inform. So they need to make sure that they're letting someone know what they're doing before they jump and go and do that thing that they really want to do. But what makes manifestors unique is that they don't have that generator aspect. They don't have that sacral energy. So they're many of the people who start new things, but don't finish them because they don't have the energy to. And that's absolutely okay. Really how society, is supposed to run is that the manifestors start the things. They initiate these new things that, we've never thought of that we need. And then they hand it off to a generator who can see it out and have the energy to pursue it. So manifestors are so beautiful. And I always, yesterday I didn't know that she was one yet. And we're talking and she's telling me she wants to start all these things. And I'm like, what's your human design type? So when she said she was a manifestor, I wasn't surprised because, she's saying like, oh, well, I want to start this and I want to do that. And I want to, do this with that person. And all these ideas and new things to create.
And I guess what comes with that is the guilt when you don't see it through.
Yes.
I used to feel like that if I started something and I didn't finish it. I was like, most things I do follow through. I guess that's like you said, the generator. But I bet lots of people listening to this that find out that they're manifestors will have a little bit of a light bulb moment there and be like, oh, that's why I don't have to finish them. I had to finish school.
Right. There are some things that you might want to push through and just honor that you as in manifestors have a unique cycle of energy. What you were saying where you can push through for weeks and days on end, but then you need to really, have your retreat time to recharge. So that is so true for manifestors. You can initiate and you can go, but then you really need to, crawl back and rest to really recharge. And that might be more on a daily basis. You having the generator, you can probably go longer than they can.
Yeah, so true. I could, like when I was writing my last course, Kevin was like, babe, it's midnight, go to bed. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, and then I would like be up at like 4:30, do my meditation in the morning. And like, but he's like, you've had like 4 hours sleep, you're going to be absolutely knackered. And I wasn't. I was like that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And people are like, do you not burn out? And I'm like, I know when I'm feeling like tired. So I just pull back for a bit. And then you won't see me online for like a week.
Yeah.
I'll just go with
How beautiful how you honor your energy and work with it. Because manifesting generators, like, yes, you can do that. I absolutely cannot.
Burn out. Yeah.
So then the manifestor, self to not self theme. Their self-theme, their signature is peace. And it's so beautiful. I see so many manifestors really finding that peace because their not self-theme is anger. And our society really kind of supports to almost the extent of shaming anger. You can't feel angry. So when I talk with manifestors a lot of the time, I say to them, it's okay for you to feel angry. It is through that anger, just like for you, through your frustration, that you get to work through and kind of explore and get to know yourself or what you're doing to be able to move through that piece. So it's really important not to neglect those feelings of anger, not to say, oh no, I let me shove this down and not look at it, because it's not going to help you to inform, to be able to move through what you need to move through, to find that peace that you get to live in every day.
Yeah, it's magical.
Are you ready to start manifesting and raising your vibration all at your fingertips? Introducing the Sacred Souls mobile app. Imagine having all of the tools you could possibly need to manifest and raise your vibration like never before, all in the palm of your hand, wherever you are in the world. Now, this membership is for you, my darling listener, if you are a beginner to manifesting and you're not sure what to do or how to get the wheels in motion. Maybe you're an old-time manifestor and you've just got stuck in the mud. You feel completely blocked and you're struggling to move forward. You might be anxious and on the edge and you're really feeling like you want to start to take control of your energy and you're wanting to really move forward with your manifestations, but you're a little bit overwhelmed trying to juggle life and you want to find a space to start looking after you. If you've been on a spiritual journey for a while, then you will be ready to take things up a notch. There is something for everybody here. So are you ready for more? More money, more abundance, more love, more everything, and most importantly, more community. This is not just any app where you're going to be downloading things or watching videos and listening to audios. Yes, it's got all of that and beautiful workbooks within it, but you get to be part of a community and live calls and masterclasses as well. So are you ready to start creating the life of your dreams? Because I am ready to do that with you. Click the link in the show notes and join me today in my sacred community and start your manifesting journey within the Sacred Souls membership. I can't wait to see you there.
So then moving on to projectors. So projectors make up 20 to 22% of the world, and we are the guides, the seers. We are the newest energy type about 200 years ago, well over 200 years ago. And our energy type, when we think about society as a whole, we're here to let people know that there's a different way of doing things, a more efficient way of doing things, because generators, just started burning themselves out. So projectors are here to say, hey, you can do, but why not do it in this way? It's a lot more efficient. You'll get things done, and then you can, sit back and play and do what you want to do before you do more. So that's really what we're here to do, to really see people see in a different way and to be able to guide through that. So our strategy is to wait for the invitation. We really need recognition. We're very misunderstood. There are so many different types of projectors. I think there's about 5 different authority types. So we're all very different. So we're often, very often misunderstood by society too, because we get deemed to be lazy. And it's not that we're lazy, it's just that we're really efficient. Like when I have a lot of work to do, I kind of let it pile up. I'm a bit of a procrastinator, but that's because of my defined root, and I'm okay with that. And then I jump in and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me a whole day to do. I get in there and I bust it out in an hour, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. Okay, I'm going to go take a nap. Because I have that efficient way of doing things. So that's why it's important that we are recognized for our gifts, for our abilities that make us projectors. Because when we're in that space, that's when the invitations just come. And this is what helps me know that I'm in alignment, that I get to manifest these things, because the invitations just start pouring in. And then it's the tougher decision of, is this an aligned invitation or not? Because we can burn out that way. So our self and not self theme, our not self theme is bitterness, which I work with a lot of projectors, of course, and we really spend a lot of time exploring, like, what is bitterness? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Because we're not really, taught that. Bitterness isn't something that's discussed. Because we really need to know what that is to identify it, to move then into our success, which we're destined for success. Those invitations come, we can find our own unique success.
That's fascinating. I love it how there's like this black and white side of everybody. Like this, mine is like the frustration, and yours, is that yours, the bitterness?
Yes. Yeah.
When do you notice that coming up for you, that bitterness? Because you must recognize it quicker than probably most of us, because you know so much about the design.
Yeah. So the easiest way to talk about it or to relay it is when I don't wait for an invitation. And this was a big light bulb when I first learned about human design. I was like, oh, so all those times that I initiated things that I was like, hey, do you want to, and, more on a bigger scale, this isn't little things like, what do you want for dinner, or talking to your friends about, what you want to do tomorrow. This is more bigger scale of, hey, I would love to partner with you and do this thing. And I remember getting this weird feeling in my stomach, and it did not feel good. And a lot of projectors, I actually don't experience this, but the majority, I would say probably 98% of projectors notice a bitter taste in their mouth that lets them know this is not it. But it's just, it's like this all-consuming icky feeling that is just ooh, it really turns you off to everything, and kind of
You know
sinks.
what I've noticed? Like as you're saying it, your facial expressions, everything change. And I think, I don't know about the other signs yet, but I'm like that when I'm like, oh God, I'm just like everything's tense. Like everything's like, I'm so like frustrated about this. And you're like, I'm like, something feels weird. Like your whole face just changed then, even when you were describing it. It just changes your whole body when you're
Well,
go to that
it
other side.
yeah, it changes your whole vibration because everything is on a spectrum. So, yes, human design is this or that, but there's a lot of gray. And of course, we can be in between and all of that. But really, I think of the spectrums as more of the shadow, the lower vibrational, the lower frequencies, and how can we utilize awareness of those to work through. It's not, oh, let's just hop on the other side. It's like, no, we got to kind of charge and find a way to find the light, to find the higher vibration, to find the ease and simplicity that gets to come with that other end of the spectrum.
And how do you get yourself back?
Strategy and authority.
Yeah.
I check in with my strategy, am I being recognized? And it is so, projectors have such blinders on. Like it is so hard for us to recognize ourselves. So
this is my husband.
Yeah. So sometimes, let's use your husband as an example. Sometimes like you can come in and be like, hey, honey, you did this so beautifully. And he probably, fills up and is like, oh my gosh, she recognizes me. So it can be challenging for him to be able to say, wow, I did a really good job of that. I did this for myself, or I created this, all of those things that can be especially challenging for projectors, because we really just want to see into others, recognize others, and that's easy.
So we went for dinner yesterday, big group of friends, and he's just had a massive promotion at work, like in charge of the UK EV infrastructure, like all the electric vehicle stuff that's happening here. He's heading up the whole of the UK. Like it's massive. And I was like, at this dinner table, like I'm like, everyone's like, what have you been up to? I was like, oh my God, Kevin, tell them about your new job. And I could just see him like, shut up.
We like, don't really need to be in the spotlight.
He doesn't, and I could just see him like, yeah, I just got this new job and it's great. And he was like really, really loosely going over it, and then swerved the conversation back to someone else. And I was like, that's okay. He doesn't want to talk about this. All right, I'll big you up later, babe. But he's like that. It's funny where I'd be like, oh my God, literally listen to what's been going on.
Yeah. But inside, I'm sure he's feeling really successful.
Yeah, he does
feel that success. He did a great job at work. He was recognized, and in came the invitation. Hey, do you want this promotion? And it sounds like it was very aligned for him to say, yes. Why? Yes, I do.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, carry on. We're like going off piece, aren't we, with the designs?
But... I can talk about projectors forever, of course. So let's talk about the fifth and last energy type. And this energy type is so special because it's only 1% of the world. They really are the unicorns, and those are the reflectors. And what makes them so unique is their entire chart is undefined. It's completely white. So they are here to sample the energy of their environments. Their environments that they're in are so important. And of course, they reflect it back. They're really here to kind of be that mirror and that reflection of everything around them. They're also lunar beings. So if anyone listening is this rare reflector type, make sure that you're listening to all of Rebecca's amazing stuff about the moon, because they are lunar beings. They need to work with the moon. They need to get into really those witchy ways of working with the moon, of, utilizing that for manifestation, because their strategy is to wait a lunar cycle. They have to wait for clarity, wait for the answers to be revealed to them through sampling, through it all. But it's really working with the moon and honoring the phases of the moon, our emotional phases that go with the moon. But for reflectors, it's much stronger. Anyone with reflector qualities, absolutely can benefit from working with the moon, but it's really the reflectors that are those lunar beings so that they cannot fall into the not self theme of disappointment, of being disappointed, and really get to live in their self theme of delight and surprise of what gets to come. But of course, they need to be in conducive environments. Like I've seen so many reflectors who are just burned out because they're not surrounding themselves with good people or, in a job that's conducive to their energy. So it's really important for them to have those safe environments to come back to and to be allowed to be their unique, absolutely beautiful selves.
And with your history that was wonderful, by the way. Thank you so much for explaining this, so well articulated and explained. Your history with psychology, do you see a lot of people coming to you with kind of anxiety, depression, and then you're like, do they figure out what their human design is and not helps heal them? Because obviously there's loads of different modalities and things we need to look at when it comes to anxiety. I'm a nurse, I know lots about anxiety and depression and things, but do you see like a real, like we're seeing such an increase, aren't we, of people with anxiety and depression? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And if only they could just figure out what they're truly here for. And that's what I'm about here on this podcast, is helping women to find their true self and express themselves and, find that inner divine goddess that we all possess. Do you find that you're helping people do that through your coaching? And is the human design a massive part of that, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. And it's like, I'm so grateful for my experience, because having had my private practice for 3-4 years before I started integrating human design directly into it, I was, there was a lot of guesswork. It was trial and error. Here, try this, go home, and therapy is so limited in that you don't have support outside of that 1 hour a week. So here, go do this homework, come back, let me know how it is next week. So it's, slow progress in that way, especially when you have clients who perhaps aren't committed or live busy lives outside of therapy and don't remember to do their homework, which happens all the time. So when they come back, it just makes things slow when we're trying to figure it out, and can take a long time with that process. Whereas human design, I started to say, okay, we have your chart. This is what it says you need to do. Go home, bring awareness to this, practice it throughout the week, see how it comes out, get to play with it. Human design is supposed to be fun. It's an experiment. Let it be light. And they would come back the next week and be like, whoa, well, that worked. And I'd be like, oh, okay, great. Let's move on to the next thing.
Oh, incredible for you as well to be getting results so quickly.
And that's why I just want to share this with everyone, because anyone can use this for themselves on a personal level. Understand your type, that strategy that you're here to utilize. And then, gosh, we can do a whole nother podcast on authority, because that's a whole nother piece on how to make decisions, where to tune into your body to know where you're guided, what's the right decision for you. But doing those two things, like that's all you need to do to watch yourself shift into that higher vibration, that self theme, and then tie in the manifestation. And we certainly can talk about the manifestation arrow if we have time, to get to live the life of your dreams, or, that big, but also just rid that anxiety, to, let go of that depression, whatever else you're internally battling with, mind, body, soul, it can shift.
And can you imagine, right, that we have a world, and I do hope this happens, that people have their charts read as children, and they're like, you could do that career, but maybe if you did this, you'd be really successful and happy. Like, how amazing. They started doing this with kids.
Well, and that's why I love guiding parents to understand their design, because, we haven't even talked about the conditioning that happens. But when parents understand their children's design and give them permission to be themselves, to understand how their energy works and not try to change them, which we all do, children can really live a little less conditioned life. Of course, there's society conditioning and family conditioning and all of that just happens innately. But to know okay, this is how I honor my energy. This is what I need to do. Like, yeah.
I love that. And tell us about the arrow before we close. Like you said,
Yes.
and the manifesting arrow. What's that? I don't know about this. What's the
Yes. So they're called the variables, the arrows. It's a whole system just within the arrows themselves. So when everybody go grab your free chart, you just need your date of birth, time, exact time of birth, and place of birth. Go get your chart free, Google it, plenty of spaces to get it. When you look at your chart, you'll see body form. That's the body graph with shapes and lines and colors inside. That's what I read. That's what I can see so much information from. Then you have some numbers on the side. Those are just your gates and more specific. That's where the astrology comes in with placements. And then around the head, you'll see these 4 arrows. So it's the bottom right arrow. And some human design people will say this isn't the case, but I see it as the case in all of my research. So when you look at your bottom right arrow, do you have your chart? Can you look at it?
I'll look now. Yeah, I've got it saved on my phone.
So it's going to point right or left. And when we talk about the arrows, pointing to the right is feminine. It is open. It is, free and flowing. To the left is masculine. It's a bit more specific, logical, right? So if you have a right pointing arrow, which my guess is you likely do, that right pointing arrow means that you're a non-specific manifester. So really, you think of things that you want, set that intention to manifest, feel into it, and it's going to happen bigger and better than you can ever imagine. You don't have to get specific on it. You just kind of think of the idea and trust that it will be bigger and better than you can imagine.
So my bottom right is going right.
Yes.
Non-specific.
As expected. So you are a non-specific manifester. So you just think of things, and especially being a manifesting generator, the manifesting generators in my life, they're just pure magic. Because you just think of something, you're like, okay, like I have one that I work with, and she's like, I want to bring in income, and I have this one offer, and I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, you've set the intention, you've put it out there, great. She comes back to me the next day and she's like, I'm already having 10 conversations about this thing. I'm like, look at you manifest. It gets to be that simple.
I literally, like, my big dream, my big vision, we've got a house with a field, we're very blessed, and I want to build a massive space to have in-person retreats. So I started like voicing to people that I wanted to do this, and I had all these people phoning my house phone at my clinic saying, oh, hi, I'm a yoga instructor, I'm just phoning up to rent the space. And I'm like, what space? And they're like, your retreat that you built. And I was like, oh, I haven't even built it yet. But that's how I can talk about stuff like that. And then it's like all these phone calls were coming in, and Kevin's like, oh my God, we need to build this. It's right. Phoning up the house to like book it out. I was like, that's what happens. That happens to me a lot with business. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then it just, yeah.
Right. And it gets to be bigger and better than you can ever imagine, because that energy is just flowing into you. Yeah. So I'm the opposite type. My arrow points left. So I'm a specific manifester. So I find this very challenging, that I have to get really, really, really specific on what I want. Like, I need to make out.
It's like the vision board is really good. I can't stand vision boards, but you would love one. Is it like that?
Yes. Yep. Vision boards. And then also I like to say too, on the back of the vision board, you need to write it out and get really specific.
Oh, that's
more so like, what it looks like, but what actually is it?
Yeah.
And then the challenge also becomes of, I don't like to use the word wait, and it is so much in here, because waiting, it's not the passive waiting. You're not like sit back waiting. It's like, no, you're still living life and waiting for these things to come in their own divine timing. So it's really about knowing that list, being so clear on that vision, on the feeling, on the energy, on all aspects of it, because as we know, and maybe you talk about, the universe likes to tease us, right? Like she'll throw things into our space and be like, are you going to take this one? And then we have to look at what we're manifesting to say, all right, does this check all the boxes? If not, we really need to say, no, this is not what I'm manifesting. To trust that the next thing that comes may, because we may, have another test thrown in front of us, this is checking all the boxes, and this is what I've manifested and what I'm calling in. And
that's such a good example to use with men, because the amount of men that I dated, and I was like, oh, he doesn't tick all of those, but okay, we'll just run with this. And then you're like, why did I not listen to my intuition? And then you get
exactly.
You're like, oh man, if only we just stuck to that list. I mean, there's obviously, we have to be very open-minded when we're dating, because my husband doesn't look anything like in fact, this is a classic manifesting generator. I knew exactly what I wanted, wrote a list out, was like, I knew kind of the values and everything I wanted. Wasn't really, really specific, but actually got something better than I'd written on my list. You would probably have to write down the exact brand of underpants that he wore.
Yes, exactly. What color hair he has, what his stature is, his body type, the exact. And what I find really challenging in manifesting for me is that it's so easy to know what I don't want. But as we know, the universe doesn't hear the not. So when I say like, I want a non-smoker, it's like, ooh, well, I certainly don't want a smoker. So can the universe hear me that it's a non-smoker? Or how do I reframe that? How do I say what I do want in the positive form, which is like a brain boggle sometimes to see it that way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I wrote that he didn't smoke, and he doesn't. So I think sometimes we can just underline the does not.
Right.
I don't mean smoking, because I'm writing the word smoking when I'm manifesting here. Yeah, no, I wrote the same things like that. And there's loads of things that I wrote really weirdly to like almost trick the universe. Not trick, like play a game with the universe. And I wrote that he drove an Audi 4x4. I was like, just things like that I wrote down. I was like, I'm going to really see if this manifesting stuff works. This was years ago. And he turns up to pick me up for my first date in an Audi A4. And I was like, oh, that's quite cool. I wish I'd written that he was a millionaire. Why didn't I write that
down? All the funny examples
He's very
that come out.
Yeah, that's really nice. I love this. And obviously you've talked a lot on here about your coaching, but you have an incredible offer that you want to share with our audience. Tell us all about that, how people can find you on socials, website. Tell us all the shizzle about all your stuff.
Yes. So yeah, I hang out on Instagram. Come find me, come follow me, come chat with me. I love chatting in the DMs at The Vital Jenn. And then on my website, that's where all my info is. You can find me there at divinevitalitywithjenn.com. And I spell Jenn with 2 N's. So that's where you can find me. Come connect. But yeah, so my signature program is called Inner Work, and that is a beautiful container where I work one-on-one with people. There is obviously so much human design that gets tied in. We kick off with a human design reading. But what I'm really speaking to on my platform on Instagram this week is Inner Work Intensive. And this is for everyone because it is a 4-week intensive container where you are going to self-study and deep dive into your design. There are pre-recorded videos on each of the 9 centers in our body graph of our energy so that you can really identify who you are, the gifts that you have, and also what you are not, so that you can work to let go of that energy and decondition. Because what you are not is where we tend to hold on to energy of others. So that's why I love this this container, this offer of the intensive, because no matter your learning style, we can all kind of find a way to work with it. And I also add in a half-hour one-on-one call with me each week. So you get 4 of those. And this is for questions. This is for processing. This is for deeper deconditioning so that you are really going to, in these 4 weeks, honor yourself, honor your energy, and also really begin to decondition, because it's what we are all needing as we move into this new paradigm, into this new energy of life, world, business too. So go check it out. Contact me for questions. Love it all.
I love that they get you as well, because that's such a part of courses now where people go, everything's pre-recorded, and then people sign up. And I feel like they need a bit of you as well. I love it that you're doing that. You're giving them some of you time, because people need that. They need a little check-in. It's good.
And I'm here to guide them. I have so many leadership qualities within my design as well. So I don't want to be detached from you. You know, you're learning through this. You're seeing me on these videos. You're hearing me. Like, I want to know you. Like, I want to know every single person that I work with, that I chat with. Plus, to give you my guidance, my ability to lead you through this deconditioning, because stuff's going to come up. We all have our traumas, whether they're big T, little t, they're going to come up. They're part of our conditioning, our experience. And, you know, we don't know what to do with it. So I really want to be there to help guide and lead through all of that.
I've got one last question for you. I ask all of my guests this. So I want you to imagine 5 years from now, you come across this podcast episode and you're like, oh yeah, I remember when we recorded that on this specific day. What is the date today? We're recording this on the 25th of September. So you're going to listen back to this in 5 years. What's your life looking like now? So that you listen back and you go, oh my God, I totally said that was going to happen. And now this is my life. What's Jenn's world going to look like in 5 years from now?
Oh, my world is going to be so beautiful. It's going to be filled with travel and with a lot of collaboration. Like, just hearing you talk about your retreat, like, I just want to bebop around the world to different countries to be able to connect in person with the people that I connect with virtually, to be able to collaborate, to pop into your containers and your beautiful offerings to provide my guidance, my experience, my human design expertise, you know, whatever it is that I can offer to serve and to help people benefit, because that's just me living my projector lifestyle, embodying my essence and having those beautiful invitations coming in, but being able to move around the world for work, really, that brings me to these different places and just building amazing, amazing connections with beautiful people and witnessing the transformation for myself and also for others.
Do you think you'll still be there in New York as well? No, Maine you're in, yeah.
In Maine, you know, I've lived in this house. I bought it 6 years ago. So I know I will still have it. It will still be mine, but in many ways, I really hope, and as we're manifesting, that perhaps it will be my home base, but I will not be fully living here.
I can so see you living near mountains. I don't know why that's coming up. There you go. Maybe it's a premonition for you, but there's mountains. See you by mountains. You're on a veranda and you're looking out, and it's beautiful. And you're with someone. There's someone there with you. I always get downloads for people. There you go.
I love it. Yes, I envision that.
Someone beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time and spending time with our listeners today. I'm sure they've enjoyed you as much as I have, and I'm sure we'll have you back to talk about. There's so much to talk about, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Attention and stuff, but I'm sure we'll have you back and we'll talk about more stuff. So thank you so much for listening today, and check out all the links in the bio where you can find all the links to Jenn's podcast. I keep saying podcast, and she hasn't got her own podcast, but I'm sure maybe that's another manifestation where she will have her own podcast. But her website links to her courses and all of her one-to-one stuff. And definitely check her out on Instagram, because she's going to be posting about that all this week as well. Oh, thank you so much, my darling.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sending you a huge virtual squishy hug, and I hope today's episode has helped giving you some inspiration, energy, and a light bulb moment. So do share your light bulbs or any takeaways you've had on your socials and tag me in, as I absolutely love to hear from you. So if you love to share, you are going to love my giveaway. Every month I'm running a new competition to win a large moon box packed full of crystals, candles, affirmation cards, incense, my Love Yourself to the Moon and Back journal, and a real surprise of spiritual treats that change every month. So listen up if you want to win and get your hands on this, because all you have to do is, number 1, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Number 2, tag me on your socials with either a post, video or story of your top takeaway of that specific episode. Be sure to tag me in as @RebeccaWellstead Green so that I see it, and you'll be entered into my free prize draw. So from my heart to yours, lots of love to the moon and back. Have a fabulous week, beautiful, and I can't wait to spend time with you again next week. Mwah.